There's a story in each box score. This channel is about those stories. This is Daily Random NFL. On November 12, 1933, at Universal Stadium in Portsmouth, Ohio, the 5-2 Portsmouth Spartans hosted the 4-3-1 Green Bay Packers. These two teams had met 5 times previously, with the Packers holding a 3-1-1 edge in head-to-head play. In the parlance of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, this was Super Bowl VI. Currently, Green Bay is leading the series 107-78-7. Packers head coach Curly Lambeau was leading Green Bay for his 13th season. He spent his first 9 seasons as a player coach and graduated to full-time on the sideline in 1930. Altogether, he had racked up a 97-33-15 record, along with 3 NFL championships. Lambeau went on to lead them for 3 more titles. Over 29 seasons in total, he was 209, 104, and 21. Although he later went on to coach the St. Louis Cardinals and the Washington Redskins for 2 seasons each, he's forever remained synonymous with the Pack. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1963 with the inaugural class of 11 players, along with fellow head coach George Halas and 3 other front office personnel. The Spartans, in their 4th season of existence, were led by Potsy Clark in his 3rd season as their coach. He had led them to a 22-7-4 record thus far, and remained with the team through their move to Detroit and their renaming to the Lions. He later also coached the Brooklyn Football Dodgers. In 10 seasons in total, he was 64, 42, and 12. Hall of Famers that actually appeared in the game that day all played for the Packers. They were tailback Johnny Blood, halfback Arnie Herber, fullback Clark Hinkle, left tackle Cal Hubbard, and left guard Mike Michaleski. The Spartans didn't have any, but Father Lumpkin came closest. The box scores we have available today have spoiled us. From the 1960s and 1970s, I can usually find a game book. Before that, there's no telling what I might find. So what I found today was the recap, courtesy of the Green Bay Press-Gazette, who gave me permission to go ahead and read it. This is written by Cal, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, okay? Quote, a fighting Packer team, handicapped at several crucial stages by dumb signal calling, met defeat at the hand of Potsy Clark's Portsmouth Spartans here Sunday afternoon at Universal Stadium by the score of 7-0 before a paid gate of less than 6,000 spectators. And the officiating was okay. The Bays battled at top speed from start to finish, but aside from the 4th quarter, when they threw a scare into the Spartans, Coach Lambeau's Grinders failed to click with a consistent offensive. The air attack was only about 20% efficient, and Bob Manette and Buckets Goldenberg were the only Packer backs who seemed able to carry the mail in a way which moved up the yardsticks. Portsmouth was pointed for the Packer game. Evidently, Potsy Clark hadn't forgotten his 17-0 licking, and he had his players on their toes from start to finish. The Spartan line seemed to improve as the game went on, and they rushed the Packer passers at express train speed. Possibly, this explains why the Bay's much-vaunted overhead drive fell by the wayside. The weather was ideal for football. Old Saul shone in all his glory, and the gridiron was in the pink of condition. Conditions were much different than at last year's game here. The crowd, although partisan, didn't resort to boos and catcalls, and frequently, when a Packer was taken out of a game, he was given a good hand. There were a handful of raspberry experts squatting behind the Packer bench, but they didn't get very far with the verbal taunts, as the Bays didn't rag back at them. In the 3rd stanza, when the Spartans made the only touchdown of the game, a 7-yard run by Portsmouth back Ernie Cadell, this anvil course let loose, but their cheers turned to groans in the 4th quarter, when the Bays came close to pulling the game out of the fire by a spirited march down the field, which forced the Spartans back to the shadow of their goalposts. From a Green Bay point of view, the brightest spot of the entire game was the last half of the 4th quarter. The Spartans had worked the ball well past the middle of the field, and they made a first down on the Bays' 37. Elmer Shaky knifed through for 8, then the same Spartan back lost 3. A forward pass went haywire, and Shaky punted over the goal line. The Packers scrimmaged from their 20, but 2 plays failed to net an inch. Herbert kicked to Glenn Presnell, who was then dumped on the Portsmouth 44. Then Presnell got loose on a trick play and galloped to Green Bay's 40, It looked for a time as if we were in the clear. 2 thrusts netted Portsmouth but 4 yards, and a pass was grounded. Shackey tried to kick one out in the graveyard, but his punt hit the sidelines on the Packers' 20, and then the fun began. Goldenberg slashed through for 30 yards and followed this up with another first down with some to spare, and the Packers had the ball in the Spartans' 45. Manette got 4, Herbert 2, Goldenberg 3, and Manette made it the first down. By this time, Portsmouth fans were yelling, "Hold him, Spartans! Hold him!" Herbert slashed outside a tackle for 7, and Goldenberg crashed for another first down. The ball was resting on the Spartans' 24. A Packer pass went flop, but Johnny Blood squeezed across for a 4, and Buckets and Manette chalked up another 5. It was the Packers' ball on Portsmouth's 12-yard stripe, and there were less than 2 minutes to play. Excitement was intense, and the stands were in an uproar. It just seemed as if the Spartans couldn't check the Green Bay onslaught. Both teams took a breather and went in opposite huddles to talk things over. When action was resumed, the Packers, for some unknown reason, attempted a down-the-slot forward pass, and it was grounded behind the goal line, without a Bayite being near the ball. The Spartans took the ball on their 20, fussed around a bit to eat up time, got away several plays, which netted the first down, and then the gun popped, and it was all over but the shouting. Unquote. The entire recap, as printed in its original form in the newspaper, goes on to describe everything I just said in 4 different ways, and then separately had 2 more columns for the play-by-play. It took about an hour to read, so that's why I didn't do it. What I can go ahead and say is that passing wasn't really a big part of NFL football at that time. The Packers went a combined 2 for 11 for 16 yards and 2 interceptions. Portsmouth didn't even attempt to pass. The 2 teams combined for 80 rushes and 325 yards. Manette led the Packers with a game-high 77 yards on 17 carries, while Shackey led the Spartans with 56 yards on 16. Waddell with 12 carries for 46 yards and a score. Presnell had 9 for 44, and Lumpkin had 5 for 15, and they also pitched in for Portsmouth. Aside from Manette, Goldberg gained 35 on 4 carries, Herbert carried 10 times for 29, and Hinkle gained 21 on 6 passes for the Pack. Portsmouth went on to lose their last 3 games of the season, and they would start the 1934 campaign as the Detroit Lions. This was the final win in history for the Spartans. The team finished the season second in the NFL West at 6-5. The Packers won just one of their final 4 games to close the season with an NFL West Division 3rd place finish at 5-7-1. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.